This video is sponsored by UGREEN. Even though I have been working in IT for over 20 years, well, that was fixing everyone else's problems, and never having time to actually fix my own problems. Until recently, where I fixed my own sucky home Wi-Fi speeds. And I can tell you right now, most Wi-Fi problems come down to the same handful of issues. Slow performance, dropouts, buffering at the worst. Now the good news is, most of them are actually fixable and without spending a fortune. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to fix your home Wi-Fi from the cheap and the easy fixes all the way through to the more proper solutions, and keeping things as simple as I can to not get bogged down with too much technical detail. And of course, if you like this sort of content, it is a whole new series we are building out here on the channel. Most people watching aren't actually subscribed, so please do consider subscribing. Click on the like button, engage down below in the comments if you have any questions about your home Wi-Fi, and I will do my best to try and respond to each and every one of you. Now, the very first thing that we need to do is figure out what exactly is going on with your Wi-Fi. And to do that, we're going to actually run a Wi-Fi survey. Now, a Wi-Fi survey basically maps out the signal strength across your entire home. So you can see exactly where the signal is strong, where it's weak, and where it just completely drops off. Now, either by giving you a full heat map of your home to identify those weaker areas, or worst case, a bit of a manual reading for you to then note down yourself where those weaker areas are. And this is really where something that should be simple isn't, because it has been nearly impossible to find one app that reliably does what we need it to do here across all platforms: iPhone, Android, Mac, and Windows. At least at the time of making this video, the one that has been reliably working for us here is Wi-Fi Man from Ubiquiti. It is completely free. You can download it on pretty much any device. You actually walk through a kind of semi-hack to get it working properly on iPhone via running a shortcut, which basically just continually scans and then logs all of your Wi-Fi data back to the Wi-Fi Man app. On other platforms, it works without messing around with any of these settings, although on Android phones, there is a setting under Developer Settings which you can unlock by going to Your Settings, About, Software Information, tap on the build number a few times, and then you'll unlock the developer settings. Then once you're in there, around halfway down, there is an option to disable Wi-Fi scan throttling, which just allows your phone to collect more data without it being throttled. But now, with Wi-Fi Man installed, you can walk around your home and create an actual heat map of your Wi-Fi network. And actually, a benefit of using the iPhone here, even though it may be less reliable, is that with an iPhone which has LiDAR, which are generally limited to the Pro model iPhones only, it will give you a more detailed floor plan, including marking where things like doors and walls are, which can be very, very useful when you look back at these floor plans later on. The other apps we tried, I just wouldn't personally recommend. Some of them half worked. One of them advertised it had free features, which then turned out to be paywalled. Right, this is NetSpot on Android, and it's pretty useless. The only thing that really seems to work, at least on Android, is even less feature rich on iPhone, is the Wi-Fi inspector, where you can see all of your channels, you see the signal strength, the band they're on, all the channel numbers as well, and you can go scroll through and see all your neighbors, all the hidden networks. Nothing else works. You basically have to pay for this app. Maybe if you pay for it, that's probably maybe you get some better options, but at least the free version on Android only does this Wi-Fi inspector bit. I can't figure out how this Wi-Fi heat maps thing works on iPhone or Android. It just seems to just take your data, basically. Over on Android, at least on Samsung phones, they actually have a free basic but built-in, but again, another hidden thing, a hidden Wi-Fi analyzer. But again, from my testing, the free Wi-Fi Man app does a plenty good enough job. Now, the only other option is getting an external device, which if you're interested in getting the most accurate mapping of your home that you can, maybe worth checking this out. Now, it is around £100, and it works as an add-on to the free Wi-Fi Man app and opens up a few extra features, including the ability to see the congestion on other wireless networks around your home. But whether you run this on your laptop, your phone, or use the extra device, what you're looking for here is signal strength, which is measured in dBm. Now, the closer that number is to 0, the stronger your signal. So minus 40 is pretty good. Minus 70 is obviously getting weaker. And once you're down at minus 80 or worse, you're going to start seeing problems. So just walk around your home with this app open, check every room, every floor, every corner, go to your garden, wherever you want the coverage to be, and you'll very quickly start to see a pattern. You'll see strong signal near the router or near your wireless access points, which gets weaker as you then move further away. Also, just need to kind of mention this quickly. So when I'm saying routers in this video, I'm meaning when you have like those all-in-one routers and wireless access points that are all like one box. Obviously, if you have your wireless access points separate to your router, then whenever I'm saying make sure your router is in the right place, then I actually mean make sure you move your wireless access point into the right place, just to clarify any confusion there. Now, if you have multiple wireless access points around your home, then you may need to just give it a moment as it roams between them. Roaming is what it's called when you hop from one access point to another when the signal gets too weak. But once you've done that, signal strength isn't the only thing to look for here. Now, if the app you're using supports this, look at something called channel congestion. Now, every Wi-Fi network in your area, around your house, all your neighbors, the flat above you, the house next door, they are all broadcasting on Wi-Fi channels. And if everyone is using the same channel, then they are all competing with each other, and that slows everybody down. Now, in the app, you'll be able to see a list of all the Wi-Fi networks nearby and also which channel they're using. Now, if you see, a dozen networks all crammed onto channel 6 and your router is also on channel 6, that's going to be a problem. Now, the fix, of course, is pretty simple. You just log into your Wi-Fi settings and manually switch to a less congested channel. Now, for 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, you want to aim for channels 1, 6, or 11 because those three don't overlap with themselves. And for 5 and 6 gigahertz, there are many more channels available, so congestion is just a much less of an issue here. Now, most modern routers also have an auto channel setting, which should kind of handle this for you, but it doesn't always do a great job, which is why it's worth checking manually first, and then if necessary, set this yourself. Now, before we get into the fixes, if you've ever wanted a proper 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank, but didn't fancy carrying a brick around in your pocket, this one might be just for you. Now, this is the UGREEN MagFlow Air magnetic power bank. It's just 13.9 millimeters thick, one of the slimmest high capacity banks you can actually get. It snaps magnetically onto the back of your iPhone via Qi 2, and the magnets lock it on instantly and just charges it. Taking an iPhone 17 Pro, for example, you'll get 1.65 full charges out of this thing, and you can go from nothing to 33% in just 30 minutes. No cable flopping around, no digging through your bag, just snap it on and get on with your day. It delivers 15 watts wirelessly, and if you need faster, there is a built-in USB-C cable that does 30 watts wired. It's also flight safe, travel friendly, and it can even charge up to 3 devices at once. It's available now, the link will be in the description down below, and a huge thank you to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. I need to talk about something that trips up a lot of people, like a scary number of people, who use the terms Wi-Fi speed and internet speed interchangeably as if they mean the same thing. Now, these are two completely different things. You've got your internet speed, which is how fast internet and data comes into your home from your ISP, which is your broadband provider. And then you have your Wi-Fi speed, which is how fast data moves between your devices and your router inside your home. So you could have a fast 1 gigabit internet connection, but if your Wi-Fi is terrible, your phone and your laptop just won't benefit from any of that. Now, the best way to test this properly is to plug a laptop directly into your router with an Ethernet cable and run a speed test, and that will then tell you your actual internet speed with no Wi-Fi in the way. Then just disconnect the cable, connect to Wi-Fi, and then run that same test again. Now, if the wired result is fast and the Wi-Fi result is slow, then you might have a Wi-Fi problem. If both results are slow, then you might actually have an internet problem, and that's the one that's worth getting onto your ISP about. Now, another thing that catches people out, most modern Wi-Fi broadcasts on three, but we'll call them two separate bands, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So 2.4 gig will travel further, but it's slower. 5, and also I'll bundle in the 6 gigahertz here, which is much newer. They are significantly faster, but they have a much shorter range. They won't go as far through your house. Problem is that a lot of people are unknowingly connected to the 2.4 gigahertz band when they should be on the faster 5 or maybe 6 gigahertz. I'm wondering again why their speeds are really disappointing. Now, you can actually check which band your device is connected to by looking at your Wi-Fi settings. And if your router uses different names for each band, like, you've got home network and then home network 5G, make sure your phone and laptop and all your devices are connecting onto the 5G, the fastest one available, whenever you're close enough to the router. Now, some routers use band steering, which is supposed to automatically move your devices between those two to the best band. But again, it doesn't always work perfectly, so it is worth manually checking. And also, if you know you want the fastest speed available and you're sat closer to the router or the Wi-Fi access point, then you can forcibly connect to that fast network. Now, there is one other potential issue causing like phantom drain on your speed. Now, sometimes your Wi-Fi is fine and your internet is also fine, but everything is still feeling pretty slow and sluggish. And the culprit is usually something else running in the background of your network. Things like Windows updates, deciding to download a huge update right in the middle of the day. Google Drive or Dropbox syncing thousands of files. iCloud backups running. Somebody uploading 100 gigabytes of video footage, perhaps. Now, on Mac or Windows, you can use the activity monitor or task manager to see if something is then hogging your connection. But really, the best place to check, if you can, is on your router's homepage, because that will show you exactly how much bandwidth each device on your network is using in real time. So at this stage, let's say that you found the dead spots in your Wi-Fi, or maybe you found rooms where the signal is weak. So let's just tackle this one at a time. So the first one, and I know this sounds stupidly simple, but it generally does make a massive difference, and it's completely free. Most people's routers are in the worst possible position, like tucked away in a corner, behind the TV, on the floor, crammed inside a cupboard somewhere. Your router broadcasts signals in all directions, like roughly like a sphere. So if it's in the corner of your house, like the far corner, most of that signal is actually going through the wall and into the garden and into your neighbor's house. Instead, if you can move that and put it in the middle of your home, then that signal is now covering the majority of your home and hopefully more of the space that you actually need it in. Height also matters here. Get it off the floor, put it onto a shelf, onto a table, somewhere where it's elevated, and keep it away from other electronics that can interfere with the signal. Things like microwaves, baby monitors, cordless phones, if those are still a thing, and thick concrete or brick walls are like really bad here. So bear that in mind when thinking about placement and knowing how thick your walls are in your house. Next up, now if you've moved the router and there is maybe still a room that just can't get a decent signal, or maybe you just can't, or you just don't want to move it, then a common get out of jail free card for a lot of people was also buying a set of Powerline adapters. They're also known as home plug adapters. And on paper, it is very clever. So this sends network signals over your home's electrical wiring circuits. You plug one adapter into a socket near the router and connect to it with an Ethernet cable. And then you plug a second adapter into a socket in whichever room you actually need the coverage in. And that one can then either broadcast Wi-Fi itself, or it just gives you another Ethernet port to then plug directly into your device or something else like an additional wireless access point. Now, they are relatively cheap. You can get a set for around 30 to 50 pounds or so, and they work okay. But honestly, this would be an absolute last resort here. I would not generally recommend doing this. They don't work in every home. They only work across the same electrical circuit. So in older homes or bigger properties, you might have different rings or different phases in your wiring, and those adapters just won't talk to each other reliably. Now, again, you can always return them if they don't work, but for me, this is always very much a last resort if none of the other proper solutions work. So let's talk about those ones. Now, a Wi-Fi mesh system is basically multiple wireless access points that all work together as one seamless network. You have a main access point that connects to your internet, which is typically wired into your network, and then extra devices dotted around your home, which all then connect to each other wirelessly and mesh together, providing your all home coverage. And as you walk between your rooms, your phone then automatically connects or roams to whichever one has the strongest signal. No dropouts and no manually switching networks. The problem with a lot of older Wi-Fi mesh networks is that these devices actually reserve half of the available Wi-Fi speeds to then communicate with each other, leaving what's left, the other half, for your devices. Now, modern Wi-Fi mesh networks do solve this by adding in additional hardware to separate these two functions, so that immediately increases how fast your Wi-Fi can work. Now, technically speaking, this was all possible back in 2016 with Wi-Fi 5, but it was expensive, and also cheaper mesh systems cut corners by not including it in their products. But nowadays, as most recent Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7 standards have come about, it's become much more mainstream and affordable as well. But what the heck is Wi-Fi 4 or 5 or 6 or 7? And when 8? because this absolutely affects what you should buy. So Wi-Fi 5, also known as 802.11ac, is now a decade-old technology. It's still completely functional. It's what many homes have right now, and devices on Wi-Fi 5 can theoretically achieve speeds of around 3.5 gigabits per second in like perfect conditions. But throw in distance, interference like walls, congestion from microwaves and other people's Wi-Fi networks, and also other hardware you're connecting those access points into, and real-world performance is a lot less. Then came Wi-Fi 6, also called 802.11ax, and this is the current mainstream standard. It's faster, it's more efficient, and it's better at handling a lot of devices at the same time. Now here, theoretical, again, maximum speeds of up to 9.6 gigabits per second. There's also Wi-Fi 6E, which adds access to the 6 gigahertz band. That extra spectrum is brand new, so there's virtually no congestion on it. So if you do live in a flat or densely populated areas, this could actually make a real difference. And then you have Wi-Fi 7, which is like the newest standard, which takes things even further. You've got faster still, even lower latency, and much better at multi-gigabit speeds. It's also backwards compatible with all your existing devices. So again, if you buy a Wi-Fi 7 or Wi-Fi 6, your old Wi-Fi 5 phone or laptop will still connect to it just fine. Now, just going back to those good versus bad mesh networks. So bad mesh is when you have a mesh system where all the devices communicate with each other wirelessly using like the same hardware and the same radio that's also then serving your devices. So this means your mesh network's having split its time between talking to your devices and talking to the other devices in your network, the other wireless access points. In practice, this does cut your Wi-Fi speed roughly in half. And this is actually quite common, again, in like the older or cheaper mesh systems, and particularly Wi-Fi 5 ones. Now, good mesh is when you have dedicated or separated hardware for communicating with each other. Now, your devices get the full bandwidth, and your mesh network also uses a completely separate channel to talk between themselves. Now, most Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 mesh systems now include a dedicated backhaul. So if you are investing in a new mesh system, make sure you check for this. Look for the phrases like tri-band mesh, a dedicated backhaul, or just check the spec sheet, see if there's a separate 5 gig or 6 gig band reserved just for communication. And I will leave some links down below to my current recommendations for mesh Wi-Fi systems if this is the route you choose to go down. But the best possible solution, no matter what anybody says, is running a physical Ethernet cable to those other rooms and hardwiring in additional access points. Now, I know, it's not always possible or practical, but if you can run cables, a wired access point beats wireless every single time. It is fast, it is reliable, it has zero interference. And so taking this route, you can still roam between wireless access points as you move around your home, but now without the additional interference of having, all these wireless access points communicating with each other in the same space as your devices are. Now, of course, as I've said, it's potentially not as easy. We actually recently had our driveway dug up at my house, and I took that opportunity to run about like 10 to 20 extra cables all around the outside of my house and into various rooms, and even one right down to the end of my garden so I can run some wireless and cameras and stuff down there. And now I can get wired, reliable, and consistent speeds of up to 10 gigabit per second in every room of my house, which just wouldn't be possible with wireless. But without going that far, and if you are able to, like drilling a hole through an internal wall or perhaps going outside and back in again isn't actually as difficult or actually as expensive as you might think. Now, as far as which wireless access point products I recommend, again, I will leave some links down below. TP-Link do provide some nice budget options, but as you may have seen on this channel before, I'm a huge fan of UniFi's wide range of like kind of prosumer networking products that if you want more than just wireless. So that is all like part one, ensuring you have full coverage in your house. Now, part two of the problem is now your signal is fine everywhere, but your speeds are still disappointing. So let's fix that one next. Now, the first thing to check is what Wi-Fi version your access points are actually running. So go back to that WiFi Survey app we used earlier. It should show you the Wi-Fi standard of each network. You can log into your router's admin page, it will tell you there, or just a good old, ask Google to help you identify what model you have. Just ask it to double check its homework because it does make stuff up a lot of the time. Now, if you're running an older Wi-Fi 5 mesh system, that's likely your answer. Now, we covered this in the mesh section where we upgraded to a more modern Wi-Fi 6 or 7 system with an extra dedicated hardware, which will make a significant difference to you. And be sure you are connected to the fastest available network that your Wi-Fi system offers. Again, some systems will broadcast the faster 5 and slower 2.4 as two separate networks. 5 gigahertz will be faster, but as you move away from the wireless access point, fairly quickly, it will drop off, and in anything like a wall or a door in the way, your speed will significantly reduce. And again, other systems have features such as band steering, where you connect to a single wireless network and your devices will just jump between whichever ones it thinks the best. And by best, it takes a combination of speed and reliability, where it will still very, very quickly jump to a much more stable but much slower connection. Now, second up, your access points might be Wi-Fi 6, but if your laptop is only capable of Wi-Fi 5, of course, you're not going to get Wi-Fi 6 speeds. The connection is always limited by the slower of the two devices. And again, a quick internet Google can tell you what Wi-Fi version your device has. Now, if your device is older and only has Wi-Fi 5, and your speeds are fine for what you're doing, you might not need to do anything. But if you are trying to get, maximum performance, then upgrading your device or adding maybe a USB Wi-Fi 6 or 7 adapter to something like a laptop or a PC could help. Now, next, in our troubleshooting here, an easy one to miss is not checking your actual cable. If you've got a wireless access point, the cable connecting it to your router matters more than you think. You may inadvertently discover that your device is only connected at 100 meg instead of 1 gigabit speeds. Actually, my friend of mine did this recently. He was complaining about poor download speeds on his PlayStation and realized that the switch he was plugged into was a 100 meg switch when he had gigabit speeds. So again, replacing the switch fix that problem. So in this case, you either need to replace the cable or maybe trace the cable back to, again, whatever switch or router or whatever device that is plugged into and check what speeds that device supports. Especially as we are in an age now where you can get like multi-gigabit internet speeds, where making sure that the rest of your network and any like associated cabling can actually support those same multi-gigabit speeds. You can also look into your router admin page here, and some of them allow you to check your connected devices, which then shows whether it's connected at 100 meg, gigabit, 2.5 gig even, 10 gig even. Now, if it is showing 100 megabits per second when it should be gigabits, well, you found your bottleneck. And then the definitive test for figuring out whether the problem is your Wi-Fi or something else, try hardwiring into your network. Both phone and laptops, and many laptops have Ethernet built in, but even with a phone, you can use a USB Ethernet adapter, a dock, a hub, whatever it is, which will then let you reach wired speeds on your mobile phone. I actually used to do this all the time when I was going on holiday, but at the last minute, remembered I then need to download loads of movies or TV shows for the plane before I fix my home Wi-Fi, because now that works really, really fast now. So you can plug this directly into your phone, directly into your router with an Ethernet cable, and then run a speed test. And then you can compare. So if you get your full internet speed over the wire, but you get significantly less over the Wi-Fi, the problem is definitely the Wi-Fi. It could be your device's Wi-Fi chips, the positioning of your router, interference, or your access point needing upgrading. There are so many different things it could be here. Now, if you get the same slow speeds wired as you do over Wi-Fi, then the problem isn't your Wi-Fi at all. It's either being limited by somewhere else on your network, or maybe it is actually your internet connection. Now, there is just a lot more to talk about when it comes to home networking, from upgrading your home broadband speeds to extending your home network around your house with network switches, to the benefits of running power over Ethernet, where you can actually run data and power to your wireless access points over a single cable. Now, I actually made a video about upgrading my home to what I thought was the fastest currently available internet speeds here in the UK, which you can watch here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.